You ever just leap into a big decision only to realize, oh no, I'm trapped? Well, today we're looking at this timeless fable that reveals a massive flaw in how we make choices. And believe me, it's about how to avoid a very ancient, but very, very modern kind of trap.
Right here. This sentence is pretty much the heart of our whole conversation today. It's this powerful warning, isn't it? Acting on that pure impulse, that immediate need for something, well, that can lead you straight into a corner you just can't get out of.
So before we even get to the story, it's super important to understand that this isn't just some simple little tale. It's more like a psychological drama, a pattern that plays out between two really distinct characters. Or you could even say, two different parts of our own minds. Okay, so on one side you've got the fox. Think of him as strategic, maybe even ruthless cunning. He sees an opportunity and he's not afraid to exploit someone else's weakness to get what he wants. And then there's the goat. The goat is all about pure impulse and unthinking desire. He's so laser-focused on his immediate need, in this case his thirst, that he completely fails to see anything beyond the promise of that quick reward.
All right, let's dive into the classic tale itself, coming to us straight from ancient Greece. The setup is really simple, but the lesson it holds, man, it's incredibly deep.
So here's the scene. We have a fox, and he's already in a trap. He's stuck down in a well, he's desperate, and there is no way he's getting out on his own. So his motivation is crystal clear, right? Escape, no matter what it takes. And then, right on cue, a potential solution. A very, very thirsty goat just happens to wander by.
Now just listen to the fox's pitch. It's brilliant. He doesn't just say, hey, there's water down here. No, he sells it. He calls it the finest in the country and frames the whole thing as this generous, totally low-risk invitation. He's targeting the goat's single-minded desire and making a trap sound like an amazing opportunity.
And boom, just like that, the trap is sprung. The goat, completely blinded by his thirst, makes the leap. Sure, he gets his immediate reward, he gets the water, but he has completely ignored the consequences. And the fox? He doesn't waste a second. He uses the goat as a stepping stone and gets his own freedom.
And this is the brutal punchline of the whole story. The fox just lays out the moral with this cold, cutting clarity. The goat's failure wasn't that he was thirsty. His failure was that he didn't think one step ahead. He only planned how to get in and never even considered how he was going to get out. So, this leads us to a really powerful principle for our own lives. See, this story isn't just about a clever fox and a silly goat. It's about a fundamental rule of strategy that we, you and me, forget all the time.
The crucial point is this. It's what we'll call the wisdom of exit. And it really just means you never commit to a job, an investment, or a relationship without first figuring out how you can get out if things go wrong. The entry is always exciting, sure, but the exit plan, that's what makes sure you survive.
And listen, this isn't just some ancient problem. The goat in the well syndrome is all around us. We see this exact pattern play out in our finances, our relationships, and our careers every single day.
I mean, think about it financially. You hear about some hot stock or a can't-miss investment. That thirst for a quick profit is just overwhelming. And just like the goat, you jump in, you pour your savings into it, but you never read the fine print about penalties or how hard it is to actually get your money back out. You're so focused on the reward, you don't even see the trap.
And the same exact trap shows up in our relationships. That initial attraction, that thirst for a connection, can be so powerful that we just ignore all the red flags about long-term compatibility. We commit deeply, maybe we move in together or get married without ever planning for the fallout if things don't work out.
And what about in the professional world? Oh, absolutely. A company gets offered this huge contract. The promise of that big payday, that finest water in the country, is so tempting they just rush to sign. They don't have a lawyer carefully look over the termination clauses, and they end up locking themselves into a bad deal they literally can't escape.
So this brings us to the most important question, right? If we know this pattern exists, how do we stop ourselves from becoming the goat? How do we actually build the mental discipline to look before we leap? Well, luckily, the wisdom of the fable also gives us a pretty clear toolkit. It's basically a series of mental checks we can use to make sure that foresight wins out over that powerful, blinding impulse.
So first, you just got to acknowledge your own thirst. What's the desire that's really driving you right now? Second, you have to be deeply skeptical of easy answers, especially when they come from someone who stands to benefit. Third, and this one is the absolute most crucial, always ask yourself, what's my exit plan? If this all goes sideways, how do I get out? And finally, you have to let patient, calm intelligence, not that urgent desire, have the final say.
So, what's the ultimate takeaway here? It's this simple, powerful command. Before you commit, before you leap, before you sign on that dotted line, remember the GOAT. Never let your thirst for quick reward make you a stepping stone for someone else's escape. Always, always plot your way out before you jump in.